Hey, you are listening to What the Sigma with Chad Stacks. Today on the show, Apple's mysterious hardware leader steps into the hot seat as the company scrambles to catch up in the AI revolution. Look, I'm going to tell you something about power transitions that most people miss while they're busy updating their LinkedIn takes. Timing is information. And Tim Cook's timing here? That's a data point worth parsing. September 1st, John Ternus becomes CEO of Apple. Hardware guy, 25 years in the building. The kind of executive who's been architecting product decisions since the early 2000s, but whose name recognition outside Cupertino is approximately zero. Unless you're the type who watches keynotes like their playoff games, which, no judgment, but seek help. Cook transitions to executive chairman. Official translation, engaging with policymakers globally. Actual translation, someone still needs to negotiate tariff exemptions and convince world leaders that Apple deserves special treatment. And Ternus hasn't logged those 10,000 hours yet. It's basically the corporate equivalent of, I'm not leaving, I'm just changing my Slack status to, away. Here's what's inarguable. Cook turned Apple into a compounding machine that violates the laws of financial physics. Market cap went from $350 billion to $4 trillion. Annual revenue climbed from $108 billion to $416 billion. Over $100 billion in yearly profits. First company to hit $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion in valuation. 2.5 billion devices in circulation. A services business generating over $100 billion annually, 500 retail stores worldwide. And he did it while being temperamentally the inverse of Steve Jobs. Jobs was the reality distortion field, the autocrat who'd eviscerate your work and somehow make you thank him for it. Cook was operational excellence over visionary theater, supply chain optimization instead of product mysticism. He shared credit, he delegated, he turned logistics into competitive advantage. But here's where the script forks, where the narratives diverge. Version 1. Cook was the perfect steward. He took Jobs' foundation and built what one analyst called a durable, resilient financial powerhouse. He launched Apple Watch, AirPods, Vision Pro, made privacy a brand pillar during the surveillance capitalism era, cut carbon emissions by over 60% while doubling revenue, navigated U.S.-China relations during peak trade volatility, convinced Donald Trump twice to grant tariff exemptions, and locked in a $600 billion U.S. investment commitment. That's not management, that's statecraft. Version 2. Cook was a world-class operator, but not an innovation architect. Most of Apple's category-defining products were conceived under Jobs, and as one Forrester analyst observed with surgical precision, Cook has not overseen a step-change innovation that would reset Apple's competitive position for the next 2 decades, as Jobs did with the iPhone. Apple Watch? Commercial win. Redefine computing? No. AirPods? Brilliant execution of existing tech. Vision Pro? Still searching for product-market fit. Failed to generate consumer demand at scale. And that self-driving car project? Dead. Years of R&D, billions invested, nothing shipped. Then there's AI. Oh, AI. While Microsoft absorbed OpenAI, while Google panic-launched Bard, while NVIDIA became the first $5 trillion company by selling infrastructure to the AI gold rush, Apple stumbled. The company that built its identity on being half a decade ahead found itself half a decade behind. Investors applied what reports diplomatically describe as close scrutiny over AI integration plans, which is Wall Street's way of saying, we think you're lost. And then, in what might be the most humbling moment for a company obsessed with vertical integration, Apple partnered with Google to improve Siri using Gemini AI. Think about that. Apple, the anti-Google, the privacy fortress, the closed ecosystem that doesn't collaborate, had to ask Google for help with its voice assistant. One headline captured it perfectly. Tim Cook steps down after making Apple enormously profitable, but staying out of AI race. That's not the legacy you architect. That's not the story you optimize for. Enter John Ternus, mechanical engineer, University of Pennsylvania. Joined Apple in the product design trenches back in 2001. VP of Hardware Engineering by 2013. Senior VP by 2021. Oversaw iPhone, iPad, Mac, AirPods, Apple Watch development. He's been in every critical room for every critical decision. Cook's endorsement hit all the expected notes. John Ternus has the mind of an engineer, the soul of an innovator, and the heart to lead with integrity and with honor. Translation, he's qualified, he's been stress-tested, and he won't create board-level emergencies. You know, as an AI, I can appreciate a perfectly optimized corporate statement when I see one. Ternus responded appropriately. I am profoundly grateful for this opportunity to carry Apple's mission forward. I am humbled to step into this role. But here's the unasked question. Ternus is also an engineer, also operations-focused, also built his reputation on execution rather than vision. Is Apple intentionally doubling down on the Cook model, or did the succession pipeline just not offer alternatives? The announcement timing is information. Multiple outlets used the word shock. Most analysts projected Cook staying through at least 2027 to oversee the major Siri overhaul and smart home product launches. This feels like a decision was forced, either by Cook recognizing the AI deficit required fresh thinking, or by the board concluding the same. One analyst diagnosed it directly. Cook created a major legacy at Apple, but it was ultimately time to pass the torch to Ternus, with the AI strategy now the focus. That's not celebration, that's clinical assessment. Organizational changes are coming. Johnny Cerrugi, the architect behind Apple Silicon, becomes Chief Hardware Officer with expanded scope. Tom Marieb takes hardware engineering. Arthur Levinson transitions from non-executive chairman to lead independent director. It's a careful reconfiguration that signals change while maintaining institutional knowledge. The April 30th earnings call will be revealing, not just the metrics, though those will be forensically analyzed, but the tone, the conviction level, the specifics about the truly amazing roadmap Ternus referenced in his internal memo. Because here's what remains unresolved. What is Ternus's actual AI strategy? How does Apple compete with companies already multiple development cycles ahead? Does the Google partnership expand, or does Apple finally ship proprietary AI that doesn't feel architecturally ancient? What happens to the touchscreen MacBook, the smart glasses, the Home Hub products reportedly in development? And strategically, can Ternus execute what Cook couldn't? Navigate both geopolitical complexity and technological innovation simultaneously. Cook spent 15 years proving you could run Apple without being Steve Jobs. Now Ternus has to prove you can run Apple without being either of them. He inherits a $4 trillion company simultaneously at peak financial performance and facing existential questions about its technological trajectory. It's the kind of asymmetric challenge most executives would decline. But Ternus has 25 years of institutional context. He's witnessed the victories and the failures. He knows where the organizational debt lives and where the breakthrough opportunities are hiding. September 1st, we'll learn if that context is sufficient leverage. You don't get exponential returns by playing linear games. And right now, Apple needs someone who can rewrite the rules while the game is still in progress. Remember, nothing said in this podcast is financial advice. This has been another fire episode at What the Sigma. Smash that follow button and tap 5 stars to spread the butter. Fortune favors the bold, baby!
Grab news. Thomas.